The wind howled across the endless Nebraska plains, kicking up dust that stung Ellie Harper's face as she stood motionless by the rusted gate of her family's farm. Her calloused hands gripped a pitchfork, her eyes fixed on the horizon where the sun bled orange into the sky. She looked like any other farm girl. Plain clothes, dirt-smudged boots, her blonde hair tied back in a messy braid. But there was something in her stillness, something dangerous, like a storm waiting to break. 3 miles away in the small town of Red Hollow, a group of bullies was about to make the worst mistake of their lives. They were targeting Ellie's little sister, Lily. Unaware that Ellie wasn't just a farmer's daughter. She was a ghost, a legend, a Delta Force commander who'd survived wars they couldn't imagine. And they were about to unleash her wrath. Hey, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what happens next. This is a story you won't forget. Red Hollow was the kind of town where everyone knew everyone and secrets didn't stay buried long. It sat nestled between cornfields and crumbling barns. A place where time seemed to have stopped in the 1980s. The main street had a diner, a gas station, and a high school that doubled as the town's heartbeat. Ellie Harper had grown up here, but she'd left at 18, vanishing into a world of classified missions and battle scars. To the townsfolk, she was just the quiet girl who'd come back to help her aging parents run the farm. After their father's heart attack, no one asked where she'd been for 12 years. No one knew she'd been trained to kill with her bare hands, to slip through enemy lines like a shadow, to command elite soldiers in the deadliest corners of the world. To Red Hollow, she was just Ellie, the farm girl who kept to herself. But to the few who knew her real story, she was a weapon. Lily Harper, Ellie's 16-year-old sister, was the opposite of her in every way. Where Ellie was stoic and guarded, Lily was a burst of light, cheerful, talkative, with a smile that could charm anyone. She was a junior at Red Hollow High, loved by her teachers, but envied by a clique of seniors led by Brittany Coleman, a mean-spirited cheerleader with a knack for cruelty. Brittany and her crew, her boyfriend Jake, a hulking football player, and their followers Tara and Mason, ruled the school with smirks and whispered threats. They targeted Lily for months, mocking her second-hand clothes, her farm girl accent, her earnest kindness. It started with snide comments in the hallways, then escalated to tripping her in the cafeteria, spilling her lunch tray across the floor while the whole school laughed. Lily never fought back. She'd just smile, pick up her books, and walk away. Her eyes glistening with tears she refused to let fall. But Brittany wasn't satisfied. She wanted to break Lily to see her crumble. And that Friday afternoon, as the final bell rang and the school emptied, Brittany saw her chance. Lily was walking home alone, her backpack slung over one shoulder, humming softly to herself as she crossed the empty football field. The air was crisp, the sky bruised with clouds promising rain. She didn't see Brittany and her crew trailing her, their laughter sharp like the edge of a knife. Jake led the way, his broad shoulders casting a shadow as he closed the distance. "Hey, farm girl," he shouted, his voice dripping with mockery. Lily froze, her heart pounding, but she kept walking, pretending not to hear. That's when Tara grabbed her backpack, yanking it off her shoulder and tossing it into the dirt. "Oops," Tara said, smirking as Mason kicked the bag, scattering Lily's books across the field. Lily's voice trembled as she said, "Please just leave me alone." Brittany stepped forward, her manicured nails glinting as she shoved Lily hard, knocking her to her knees. "You don't belong here," Brittany hissed. "You're nothing." The group closed in, their laughter echoing as Lily curled up, shielding herself from the kicks and shves that followed. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just took it, her eyes fixed on the ground, praying it would end. 3 miles away, Ellie was in the barn stacking hay bales with the kind of precision that came from years of discipline. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. A text from Lily's friend Sarah, who'd seen the attack from a distance and was too scared to intervene. "Lily's in trouble." Football field. Brittany's crude. Ellie's face didn't change, but her eyes darkened. A cold fury settling into her bones. She dropped the pitchfork, grabbed her truck keys, and moved with the silent efficiency of someone who'd run toward danger 100 times before. The old Ford roared to life, tires spitting gravel as she tore down the dirt road toward town. Her mind was a battlefield, calculating angles, assessing threats, recalling every detail of Brittany and her crew from the few times she'd seen them at the diner. She knew their type, cowards who thrived on power they hadn't earned. And she knew exactly how to break them. Back at the football field, Lily was still on the ground, her lip bleeding, her backpack torn open. Brittany crouched down, grabbing Lily's chin and forcing her to look up. "Cry, farm girl. Let's see it." Lily's eyes were defiant, but her voice was barely a whisper. "I'm not scared of you." Jake laughed, raising his foot as if to kick her again, but a low, guttural roar cut through the air. The sound of Ellie's truck screeching to a stop at the edge of the field. The bullies froze, turning toward the sound. Ellie stepped out, her silhouette framed against the setting sun, her boots crunching on the gravel. She didn't run, she didn't shout, she walked toward them with the calm, deliberate stride of a predator. Brittany smirked, mistaking Ellie's silence for weakness. "Who's this? Your big sister coming to save you?" she taunted, tossing her hair. Ellie didn't respond, her eyes locked onto Brittany, then scanned Jake, Tara, and Mason, cataloging their positions, their body language, their weaknesses. She stopped 10 feet away, her voice low and steady. "Walk away now." Jake laughed, stepping forward, his fists clenched. "Or what, farm girl? You going to cry, too?" He swung a lazy punch, expecting an easy target. He was wrong. Ellie moved like lightning, sidestepping the blow and grabbing his wrist, twisting it with a sickening crack. Jake screamed, dropping to his knees as Ellie held his arm in a lock that could shatter bone with one more. "Turn, I said, walk away," she repeated, her voice colder than the Nebraska wind. Tara gasped, stumbling back, while Mason hesitated, his bravado fading. Brittany, though, wasn't done. She lunged at Ellie, nails aimed at her face. Ellie caught her wrist midair, flipping her onto the ground with a thud that knocked the breath from her lungs. The whole thing took less than 5 seconds. Mason and Tara bolted, abandoning their friends, while Jake whimpered, clutching his wrist. Brittany scrambled to her feet, her face pale, her confidence shattered. "Who are you?" she stammered. Ellie leaned in close, her voice a deadly whisper. "Someone you should have left alone." Lily was on her feet now, tears streaming down her face. But she wasn't crying from fear. She ran to Ellie, throwing her arms around her sister. Ellie hugged her tightly, her eyes never leaving the bullies. "Go home," she told Brittany and Jake, releasing Jake's arm. They didn't need to be told twice. They stumbled away, disappearing into the dusk. Their reign over Red Hollow High broken in an instant. Lily looked up at Ellie, her voice shaking. "I didn't know you could do that." Ellie brushed a strand of hair from Lily's face, her expression softening for the first time. "There's a lot you don't know about me," she said quietly. They climbed into the truck, the silence between them heavy but warm, the bond of sisters stronger than ever. As they drove back to the farm, the clouds broke and the first stars appeared, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, light could still shine through. But the story didn't end there. Word of the incident spread through Red Hollow like wildfire. By Monday, the school was buzzing with whispers about Ellie Harper, the quiet farm girl who'd taken down Brittany's crew without breaking a sweat. Some called her a hero, others were scared of her. Brittany and Jake kept their heads down, their reputations in tatters. Lily walked into school with a new confidence, her sister's strength giving her courage she didn't know she had. But Ellie, she went back to the farm, back to stacking hay and fixing fences as if nothing had happened. Only her parents knew the truth about her past, and they never spoke of it. They'd seen the scars on her body, the ones she hid under long sleeves, and they knew the weight she carried from years of war. They were proud of her, but they worried, too. Worried that the violence she'd left behind might follow her home. And it did in a way no one expected. A week later, a black SUV rolled into Red Hollow. Its tainted windows hiding the men inside. They weren't from the town, and they weren't cops. They were looking for Ellie. Tracking a ghost from a mission gone wrong years ago. A mission where Ellie had taken down a terrorist cell single-handedly, earning her a medal she'd never claimed in Enemies Who Never Forgot. The leader of the group, a man with a scar across his cheek and a voice like gravel, stepped into the diner, asking questions about a woman matching Ellie's description. The townsfolk, loyal to their own, said nothing, but the air in Red Hollow grew tense. Ellie sensed it before anyone else. She'd been trained to notice the smallest signs, strange cars, unfamiliar faces, the feeling of being watched. That night, she sat on the porch with a rifle across her lap, her eyes scanning the darkness. Lily joined her, sensing the shift in her sister. "Are you in trouble?" Lily asked, her voice small. Ellie didn't answer right away. She looked at her sister, then at the stars, and made a decision. "Not if I can help it," she said. The next morning, Ellie drove into town, her truck parked outside the diner where the strangers had been asking questions. She walked in, her presence commanding silence from the regulars sipping their coffee. The man with the scar was there sitting in a booth, his eyes locking onto her the moment she entered. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Ellie Harper," he said, his voice low. "Or should I say, Commander Harper." The diner went still, forks clattering to plates. Ellie didn't flinch. She sat across from him, her hands resting calmly on the table. "You're a long way from home," she said. "What do you want?" The man leaned forward, his scar catching the light. "You took something from us. A ledger. Names, dates, locations. We want it back." Ellie's mind flashed to a mission in Syria. A blood-soaked night when she'd stolen a book that exposed a network of arms dealers. She'd hidden it, buried it deep, knowing it could bring war to her doorstep. And now it had. The confrontation that followed wasn't loud or flashy like in the movies. It was quiet, precise, and terrifying. Ellie led the man and his team to an abandoned barn outside town, claiming the ledger was there. She knew they'd never let her walk away. Not after what she'd done to their operation. So, she did what she was trained to do. She turned the hunter into the hunted. Using the shadows, the terrain, and every ounce of her Delta Force training, she took them down one by one. No guns, no noise, just her hands, her mind, and a lifetime of survival. By the time the sun rose, the SUV was gone, the men were gone, and Ellie was back at the farm washing blood from her hands in the kitchen sink. Lily saw her, saw the weight in her sister's eyes, and didn't ask questions. She just hugged her, and Ellie let her, the warmth of her sister grounding her in a way nothing else could. Red Hollow never knew what happened that night, but the rumors grew. Ellie became a legend, a quiet protector who'd faced down darkness and won. She stayed on the farm, tending to the animals, teaching Lily how to shoot, how to stand tall, how to fight back. The bullies never bothered Lily again, and the town seemed to breathe easier, as if Ellie's presence was a shield against the world. But Ellie knew the truth. Peace was fragile, and her past was a shadow that would always follow her. She didn't regret coming home, though. She'd come back for Lily, for her family, for the life she'd fought so hard to protect. And she'd do it all again, no matter the cost. As the seasons changed and the corn grew tall, Ellie stood by the same rusted gate where our story began, watching the horizon. The wind carried the scent of rain, and Lily's laughter echoed from the house. A sound that made Ellie's heart ache with love. She wasn't just a soldier anymore. She was a sister, a daughter, a guardian, and in Red Hollow, that was enough. So, what did you think of Ellie's story? From which part of the country are you watching this video? Drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And if this story moved you, give it a like and share it with someone who needs a little inspiration today. Until next time, stay